Hey, how's it going guys, Chris here with another Battlefield 1 weapon guide, and today's video is going to be all about the M1917 machine gun that came along in the Turning Tides DLC. Another American weapon designed by John Browning to be used by the US Armed Forces during the Great War. So the Browning Model 1917 was a fully automatic, recoil operated heavy machine gun, and it was a little bit different to the earlier Maxim designs that had already been in use for quite a few years. Instead of using a toggle lock mechanism, which was a fairly complicated system, the M1917 instead used a sliding block locking mechanism, so it was an easier weapon to mass produce, plus this also shaved off some of the gun's weight too, making it a little bit lighter and more manageable to carry around on the battlefield. With that said, it was still a pretty hefty beast, weighing in at about 15 kilograms on its own, and up to about 45 kilograms when mounted on its tripod, complete with a full belt of ammunition. But in comparison to a lot of the other, similar machine guns around at the time, this wasn't actually too bad, making it a slightly lighter alternative to the Maxim-styled MGs. The M1917 was a water-cooled weapon, hence the big chunky jacket wrapping around the gun's barrel, and it was fed from some pretty long fabric belts, holding up to 250 30-06 Springfield cartridges. This gave the user quite a lot of suppressive power, and the ability of being able to sustain fire over longer durations, with those bullets often being contained inside an ammo box, either fitted to the left side of the body, or just simply sat on the floor, depending on the situation. In the year of 1901, American weapons designer John Browning worked on his very own water-cooled heavy machine gun, but he was a little bit late to the party, as quite a lot of other machine guns like the Maxim were already dominating the market, and it just didn't seem like an amazing idea to try and compete at the time, especially with the US military not really needing a new heavy machine gun in the early 1900s. Browning further developed his design and even built a prototype of it in 1910, but still it just wasn't really necessary, so with that, he simply left the idea at the back of his mind and worked on other projects instead. But fast forward to 1917 when the Americans joined the Allied forces and entered the war, lots of these machine gun type weapons were in high demand, and Browning decided to revive his heavy MG and submit the gun for testing. As it turned out, Browning's invention was an extremely reliable weapon, passing the test with flying colours, firing 20,000 rounds with pretty much no problems or malfunctions. And after several trials, the US Army were very impressed with its overall results, and decided to accept the gun into service straight away. Contracts were submitted very quickly to several different American manufacturers, as the M1917 was intended to be in the hands of doughboys on the Western Front ASAP. Though because of production delays, by the time numbers started showing up in France, the war was pretty much over, with only about 1,200 of the 40,000 manufactured models actually seeing any frontline use. The M1917 MG would still go on to see action in several other conflicts after though, becoming a standard US machine gun for both the Army and the Marine Corps, as it was used throughout World War II and even saw limited use in the Vietnam War in the 60s, quite a few years after the gun was initially designed. But anyway, there's two different variants of Browning's M1917 machine gun on offer in the Turning Tides DLC, though you'll have to complete a few assignments first in order to unlock them. As for the low weight variant, this shouldn't really be too hard, as all you've got to do is get 25 kills of the BAR M1918 Trench, and accumulate 250 vehicle damage using explosives. I should point out that you don't really need to be a support player whilst dealing the explosive damage, so it's probably best to just switch over to the assault class and load up with dynamite, AT rockets and anti-tank grenades to get this one done and dusted quicker. But to unlock the Telescopic variant, you're going to need that low weight variant first, as you'll need to get 50 kills with it. And you'll also have to get 1,500 points of suppression with the LMGs, so just keep suppressing enemies and you'll get this one done eventually too. So time to run over those stats and see exactly where the M1917 fits in with the other support guns. And as far as power is concerned, the weapon's going to deal the same amount of damage as Browning's other machine gun, the BAR, dishing out a maximum of 26.5 up to the range of 11 meters, which is where it'll start to decline, dropping down over distance to the weapon's minimum damage of 23 at 35 meters. So basically putting it, you're going to be able to kill someone with full health in just 4 bullets up to 12 meters, though it'll take one more round to put them down any further than this. This damage model is on par with the BAR M1917, and although the gun doesn't deal the strongest amount of close range damage, with a few of the others packing a little bit more of a punch in CQC, the weapon does have a fairly decent amount of longer range power, with that minimum damage being slightly higher than average. This makes the M1917 a fairly deadly weapon for mowing down enemies at those further distances, as you'll not only be able to finish off weakened targets a bit easier, but you'll also be able to kill faster by landing those headshots, which will reduce the number of bullets to kill down to 4, or even just 3 if you manage to land 2 headshots and 1 body shot on a single target. Quite a lot of the other machine guns aren't capable of doing this, though some of them, like the Madsen, MG15 and Parabellum, are all instead capable of killing quicker with headshots up close. So I guess the M1917's slightly higher minimum damage might come in handier for range battles, but a little less so in close quarter combat. The M1917 MG isn't exactly the fastest firing thing in the world, as it sits quite comfortably among some of the support's slowest shooting weapons, with a fire rate of just 450 RPM, along with the BAR and the Perino. Of course, the Shosho is still going to be 25% slower still, but it deals more damage and kills in less shots to help balance it out. And because the M1917 basically kills in a similar amount of bullets to most of the other LMGs, this gives it some of the laziest kill times in the game, often making it a slightly less effective gun for winning head-to-head gunfights, and being able to wipe out multiple targets one after the other at lightning speeds. You're probably going to have more trouble in close quarter battles, as that sluggish fire rate will often hinder your ability to drop targets before they take you out, putting more pressure on you to start aiming and firing first. It's not exactly a very competitive close range weapon, and you'll have to be careful advancing towards objective points up on the front lines, reacting quickly to overcome other support machine guns with faster fire rates, along with assault players having a clear advantage over you with their CQC friendly guns. But although the M1917 might not shoot very fast, its bullets do travel quite quickly through the air, with the gun having a muzzle velocity of 820 meters per second. This is actually faster than quite a lot of the Scout sniper rifles, and although it's not quite as nippy as the MG15's rounds, players in the distance should still be fairly easy to hit, as you won't need to lead their movements very much at all. Another reason why the M1917 might excel in a long-range attack on the enemy team. So how easy is it to stay on target with the M1917 MG? Well, the gun plays out like a slightly less precise version of the Perino 1908, with a vertical recoil of 0.26 and a horizontal recoil value of 0.17. So it's not going to be quite as accurate or controllable, though it does have an advantage over most of the other LMGs in this field, apart from maybe the Hewitt and BAR, which are both going to be more accurate, down to them kicking a bit less from side to side. Although the M1917's recoil pattern is fairly decent on the face of it, the gun does have a fairly jumpy first shot multiplier of 1.8 times, causing it to bounce around a bit more when tap and burst firing. And for this reason, it's almost always best to just keep squeezing the trigger and lay down continuous fire. And because both variants have a hell of a lot less aim down sight space spread whilst not moving, I'd highly advise being as still as you can whilst opening fire on someone at mid to long range, as your shots are much more likely to land where you want them to due to that much lower spread. Because both variants have a bipod, this can be used to gain almost pinpoint precision when in a stationary position, which is really the most effective way to take care of enemies in the distance quickly and reliably. The low weight variant offers a quicker recoil and spread decrease, meaning it can recover from automatic fire a bit faster, allowing you to shoot more accurately again shortly after you stop firing. Though the telescopic variant has stronger mid to long ranged optics for acquiring targets further away a little easier, along with having a slightly smaller amount of ADS base spread too when you're not moving, helping you out even more so when using that bipod for long distance takedowns. If you've ever wanted a gun that never runs out of ammunition, then the M1917 MG comes pretty close, as the gun's got the biggest ammo capacity out of all of the support weapons in the game, holding up to an impressive 250 rounds all at once. Because you're firing at a fairly slow rate, this means that you're not going to run out of bullets very quickly either, and with it having a higher level of precision than a lot of the other ammo-bearing juggernauts on offer for this support class, this means that you're not going to be spraying and possibly wasting a lot of those bullets away, as you'll be putting more of them to good use instead. One of the most notable aspects of the M1917 is the fact that it not only holds tons of ammo, but the fact that it also takes ages to overheat, as you can continuously suppress fire and shoot up to 65 bullets one after the other without stopping, allowing you to shift from target to target and continue gunning down almost every enemy you come across without having to stop to reload or pause for a cooldown. Though should the gun eventually chew through 250 cartridges, then you'll have to perform one of the lengthiest reloads in the game, taking 8.3 seconds of your time. A tactical reload is going to cut this down slightly to 7.5 seconds, which is still a pretty long time of vulnerability. So if you ever do run out of ammo or just feel the need to top the gun back up to full, then it's definitely best to hide behind some cover and avoid enemy sightlines while seeing those reloads through. Though it's pretty rare that you'll ever need to do this, as the gun's capable of tearing through a ridiculous amount of ammo before reloading should become an issue. So in conclusion, the Browning M1917 MG is basically the ultimate passive-aggressive machine gun that might struggle to win some close-range battles, but can be an extremely powerful and deadly weapon in conjunction with a defensive playstyle. The gun's got quite a lot of factors that make it a very suitable weapon for mowing down players at range, along with suppressing and disrupting the enemy team, as its higher than average damage over distance, speedy muzzle velocity and manageable recoil pattern all nicely go hand in hand with each other, allowing the gun to pick off multiple targets further away very comfortably. And when you've got that bipod set up, then the M1917 transforms into an extremely reliable and efficient tool of death, gaining a much higher level of precision for dealing with any unfortunate enemy scurrying around in the distance. Having the largest ammo capacity of the support machine guns, along with being able to continuously fire in long durations without overheating, are both also factors which heavily complement the weapon's defensive style, further increasing its practicality when engaging enemies from a bipoded position further away. And although the reloads do take quite a while to perform, because they're few and far between, you never really need to worry about getting caught out with an empty belt, as running out of ammo is one of the M1917's least concerns. However, the M1917 isn't really a fantastic weapon for whipping out in close quarter fights, with that slow fire rate often putting you at a disadvantage for rapid fire kills up close. Plus the weapon as a whole still isn't exactly going to bring down enemies blazingly fast over all distances, with its kill times generally being a little bit longer than most of the other LMGs. There's a lot of pressure on you to shoot first and land shots in run and gun situations, and although the M1917's got a pretty decent recoil pattern overall, it's still not the best, and you'll still need to be careful and accurate if you want to survive up on the front lines, with the weapon not really being designed for close quarter combat scenarios. The M1917 is a pretty well-rounded machine gun that might kill a little bit slower, but provides you with a hell of a lot of firepower, allowing you to keep going through the fight. And so long as you know the weapon's limits and take advantage of its defensive capabilities, you can really punish enemy players in the distance and provide tons of supportive fire for your team. So that's it for another one, guys. Hope you enjoyed the guide and found it useful. If you did, hit that like button and that would be much appreciated, and subscribe for loads more Battlefield videos and content coming in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you in that next episode.